Welcome to Tender Heart. People say that karma always gives you back what you put out there into the world, be it good or bad. This is what happened in this sweet story. Before we continue this story though, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon so you get updated every time we post new videos. With that said, let's dive right into it. There was a woman walking down the streets one day when she spotted a beggar. The man looked pretty old, unshaven, and ill-dressed. Every passerby looked at him with contempt. Not like they had anything against him, but merely because of who he was, a filthy beggar. But when this particular woman saw him, she was filled with compassion. The beggar was improperly dressed for a weather so cold. Precisely, he wasn't dressed by wrapped up in what looked like a coat from a very old and not so warm suit. She kindly asked the man, "Sir, are you all right?" The man looked at the woman, who clearly by her appearance was a demonstration of what people from a wealthy background look like. The old beggar thought that she, like every other person, was mocking him. "Leave me alone," he growled. The woman did not move. Instead, she smiled at him and gently asked if he was hungry. "No, I've just come from dining with the president. Now go away," the beggar replied with a notable sarcasm. The woman's smile did not fade. She slid her hands under the beggar's arm and tried to pick him up. "Woman, what do you think you're doing?" The beggar sounded annoyed. That was when an officer overheard them and came over, asking the woman if she was facing any problems with the beggar. "Not at all, officer. I'm just trying to get this man to his feet. Will you help me?" the woman replied. The policeman looked at her with surprise and told her that the man here was named Joe and that he had been there for years. "I'm taking him to the cafeteria to eat something and get out of the cold for a while," the woman answered. "Are you crazy, lady?" the homeless man resisted. "I don't want to go in there." Then he felt strong hands grab his other arm and lift him up. "Let me go, officer, I didn't do anything." After a lot of difficulty, the woman and the officer managed to drag him into the cafeteria. It was past breakfast and too early for lunch hour of the day. The manager strode towards the table and asked, "What's going on here, officer?" he asked. When he told the manager that the woman wanted to buy food for Joe, he was shocked and said, "No way, not in my cafeteria. People like him are bad for business." "Now you know why I didn't want to come in here, woman. Now let me go. I never want to be here in the first place," said Joe. The woman turned to the cafeteria manager and smiled. "Sir, I reckon you know Evans and Partners, the law firm down the street?" "Of course I do," the manager answered impatiently. That is when the woman said, "Well, I am the CEO of that company, and my name is Holly Edmonds." Everyone was shocked. She looked at the officer. "Would you like to join us for a cup of coffee and a meal, officer?" "No thanks, ma'am," the officer replied. "I'm on duty." "Then perhaps a cup of coffee to go," said Holly. The officer agreed and asked the manager to do as needed. Now, Holly was staring at Joe intently and asked, "Joe, do you remember me?" He examined her face and said, "Well, you do look familiar." That is when Holly told him the full story. She asked if he remembered a cold and hungry girl who frequently visited this place when Joe worked at the cafe itself. The officer looked surprised. He couldn't imagine this fine-looking woman as poor and hungry. She continued saying, "I had just graduated and had come to the city looking for a job. Didn't find one for a really long time. I was running out of cash and had been asked to vacate my apartment too. I lived on these streets for days. It was the cold month of February, I still remember, and that's when I found this place and hoping to find eatable my little budget could afford." Joe's face suddenly lit up. "Now I remember you. I used to be at the counter. You came up and you asked me if I could work for something to eat. I said that it was against company policy." "I know," Holly said. "Then you offered me the biggest roast beef sandwich, a cup of coffee, and a table for me to sit and enjoy the meal. I saw you put the price of my food in the cash register." "So then you started your own business?" asked Joe. "No, not exactly. That very afternoon I got a job. I worked my way up. Then I started my own business." She opened her purse and pulled out a business card. "Please pay a visit to the HR of my company. I'll go talk to him now. I am sure that there is something in my office for which we can use your help. We can even pay you a certain amount of your salary in advance for clothes and a place to live." Fighting back the tears, Joe asked, "How can I ever repay your kindness?" "You don't have to," she answered. "Thank Jesus that he led me to you." "Thank you for all your help, officer," she said to him as they both walked out the door. "On the contrary, Miss Evans, thank you. I saw a miracle today. And of course, thank you for the coffee." Holly walked off and Joe was soon hired by her firm. What do you think of this story? Tell us in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video too. I will see you in the next video with more exciting topics. See ya!